Cette semaine, le héros de l'Extra Interview aime jouer à la poupée. À 43 ans, Travis Knight dirige Laika, le studio d'animation le plus créatif du moment. Un repère de magiciens spécialistes du stop-motion, soit de l'animation image par image. 400 personnes ont ainsi œuvré avec minutie pendant près de 2 ans pour donner vie à Kubo et l'armure magique. Un conte qui nous transporte dans un Japon fantasmagorique né de l'imagination de Travis Knight lui-même.
Your family is very powerful. Your mother used her magic to save you.
Kubo, run!
And bring me to life.
What are we gonna do?
Dear Travis, I'd like you to explain me stop motion, in fact. How did it start, and why is that such a source of creation for you in this area of high technology?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely live in a world that is very high-tech, where things exist virtually, where everything exists on a screen, and very few things are made by hand anymore. And I think that's one of the reasons why stop motion still seems so beautiful and so vital. It goes back to, a generation of generations of artisans who brought things to life with their hands. And, stop motion was one of the first visual techniques that was ever developed for film. It goes back over a century to the dawn of cinema, when Georges Méliès was sending rockets to the moon, he was using a lot of the same techniques that we use when we make these films. At its core of it, it is stop motion, where you have a puppet on a set, surrounded by lights, then an animator moves a frame at a time, takes a bunch of little pictures, and then puts them together, and it looks like these characters are fully alive.
How do you choose the people that are going to work? It requires such meticulousness.
Yeah.
Maybe you choose people because of their hands.
Well, there's something to that, actually, because I think the thing that, oftentimes we'll find people who, do work with their hands, who are incredible, they're craftspeople. They're great at making ceramics, or they're seamstresses, or they make jewelry, or they're involved in watchmaking, or something like that, where they just can do hyper-focused detail to bring things to life in a beautiful way using their hands.
You're growing stronger. You might not want to look quite so pleased about that. We grow stronger, the world grows more dangerous. Life has a funny way of keeping things balanced.
Monkey, do you ever say anything encouraging?
I encourage you not to die.
Obviously, you are a movie fan. How did it start? How did you fall in love with cinema?
Oh, I've loved movies, TV since I was a kid. I don't think that makes me unusual. The first film that I actually remember seeing in the theater was Star Wars, which I saw when I was 3 years old.
3 years?
Yeah, and my parents...
Your parents were very open-minded.
My parents were very liberal. They would take me, anything they wanted to see, they would take me along with them. But it did open me up to a lot of different kinds of stories that I think a lot of kids my age didn't see. And these stories left lifelong impacts on me. The first movie that actually moved me to tears was Steven Spielberg's E.T. I was 8 years old, and I saw it with my mom in the theater. And I remember there's a moment where I'm seeing this thing happen on screen, and I'm just bawling in my mom's arms. And that actually, that was an interesting experience. I think that was one of the main things that made me want to be a storyteller, because I could see that even though I knew that the thing that I was watching on screen wasn't real, that it was fake, it made me feel something deep down that I didn't even know that I felt. And I thought there was something that was amazing about film, that you could actually elicit that kind of feeling and emotion in a member of the audience.
Pay careful attention to everything you see and hear, no matter how unusual it may seem. And please be warned. If you fidget, if you look away, if you forget any part of what I tell you, even for an instant, then our hero will surely perish.
The movie is about storytelling.
Yeah.
How to tell a good story, how to find a good ending, how to maintain suspense.
Right.
What would be the greatest storyteller for you in cinema and in TV series?
I mean, there were so many incredible filmmakers that were inspiring for me, including Akira Kurosawa and Hayao Miyazaki and Steven Spielberg and David Lean and Martin Scorsese. But I think for this movie, that Kurosawa, he's a towering influence on cinema. I believe the birthplace of the modern cinematic epic really did start in Japan, and that's because of Kurosawa. And so, everything that he did, from composition to cutting to lighting to movement to the way that his framing, his cutting, they were a real aesthetic muse for how we made this film. But it was beyond that, just the philosophy behind how he made films, why he made films, what he made films about, things like existentialism and humanism and the heroic ideal. I think those are just really intricate, layered, beautiful, heavy thematic elements that we wanted to explore in this film as well.
But how were you initiated to Kurosawa? I mean, he's not the first director
No.
a young fan
No.
of cinema may discover.
I saw the things that I saw early on were things that were inspired by Kurosawa, like Star Wars. I mean, Lucas was heavily influenced by Kurosawa when he made Star Wars, and so I experienced Star Wars first. I experienced, Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns before I realized that he was influenced by, the Magnificent Seven and Kurosawa's films.
The mighty beetle is victorious!
For me, the biggest influence on that specific sequence with the giant skeleton was Ray Harryhausen. Because,
the old Monsters movie.
Yes, the creature features. There's a scene in Jason and the Argonauts where one of Harryhausen's early films where a live-action Jason goes up against an army of skeleton warriors, and all brought to life a frame at a time by the master himself. And so the big skeleton monster in our film was really a tip of the hat, an homage to Ray Harryhausen, and an attempt to one-up the master by having a puppet that was so big it actually dwarfed the animator, which is something that's never happened before.
Why do you think you're so attracted to fantasy? Could you imagine to do some very realistic story one day?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I love fantasy just because I think that through a stylized prism of something like fantasy or animation, you can explore significant real-world issues, things like, maturation and loss and grief and death. But the thing about Laika is that we always want to tell different kinds of stories. We want to, tell stories in different genres. And so I love the idea of basically, before I shuffle off this mortal coil, that at Laika we will hit basically every kind of genre in animation that we possibly can.
Show off.